Hi, everybody. Welcome to the newest field trip episode that's coming out right now.
Very good. Those courses are really paying off.
I just remember to stay on track and to not get distracted and don't riff ever.
How to introduce a podcast 101.
101. Don't riff.
Don't riff. Aim for the head. Yeah, so we're here. We're LA Meekly. Get used to it. This is our new field trip episode. Was this the fifth one?
I believe this is the fifth.
Yeah,
one. Yes.
I really, not that I didn't like the other ones.
Yeah, this was one where we absolutely did not know what to expect going in. They reached out to us and we looked it up and it seemed really interesting, but there was still even on the...
we went in pretty blind to this one.
Yeah, and we kind of looked forward to it.
Yeah,
like we looked it up
too
online.
Many experimental drugs that
This was our acid period.
This was our rubber soul. Our fifth outing. The next one's just going to be called LA Meekly. But we'll all refer to it as the White Podcast.
We got invited by Jane Tobias to come by and check out the MorYork space, which is really great. It's right there on York Boulevard, right by Johnny's Bar and Donut Friend and all that fun stuff there.
And Mark Maron's favorite coffee shop.
And Maria Bamford's favorite coffee shop.
And also the cast of Love's favorite coffee shop. And also anybody who's a comedian in Los Angeles' favorite coffee shop.
Yeah, we didn't know what to expect and we went there. And even as walking around, like we didn't know what we were really looking at, but we really liked.
Yeah.
There was so much for our eyes to catch, so we had a great time.
We went into what we thought was an art gallery and it turned out it was an immersive choose your own adventure experience for free.
For free. I remember sitting there with him during the interview. He says it better than I do. So
Clare Graham, by the way, is who we're talking about.
Forgive me. Yeah. Apologies all around the house. He put it perfectly because I was sitting, I'm like, it's not a museum, it's not an art gallery. He's like, oh, it's like a cabinet of curiosities. He's like, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. We'll let you listen to the interview to say all that, wow, that genius stuff that we say. Like,
wow. I mean, I know where we're interviewing him, but what were we saying? Wow.
Anywhere where we're allowed to go and just run around and have fun and play like the children that we are, we always have a good time. You have to look it up online. We'll post most pictures when this episode comes up.
The reason we didn't know anything about it going into it was that we tried to look it up online and it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't do justice to as you said, the immersive experience of being in there. So try to set up time to go and visit it because it's really great. You really enjoy it.
You won't be hearing us at the end of this episode. So MorYork, their website is moryork.com.
Spell it.
MorYork.
Great.
Little dot next to that K. And then a COM.
What's the COM stand for? Computer?
Yeah, .computer.
MorYork.computer.
Even more New York.computer. MorYork.com, that's how you can find them. They're on website, they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram. Their address 4959 York Boulevard.
As you might have heard already, we're going to go ahead and remind everybody that we have a show coming up.
Live show.
On October 30th at the Comedy Central stage of the Hudson.
You know it. You know how to get there. It's saved in your GPS. Just, reroute.
Because all our fans showed up last time.
Hey, they did. And even that guy from Ireland.
Oh, that guy was so nice. Dr. Graham?
No, he's not. First of all, it's Dr. Grant, and that's not Dr. Grant. Dr. Grant is Sam Neill. This was John Hammond showed up.
Oh, that's right. John Hammond showed up.
We all said, hello, John, and he kept cloning to 99 seats.
And then he said that one line that it's spare no expense.
Yeah, Comedy Central stage yet again. Yep. We're very grateful to be back. That's October 30th at 8 o'clock p.m., Halloween Eve.
LA Meekly Live, Devil's Night.
It's basically going to be our haunted episode.
But like live.
Dead or alive.
Died. It's free, just got to reserve spaces because the seating is limited for that. So go ahead
and we
did
sell out last time.
So I mean, they're not going to let you sit on the floor. I asked, okay?
Trust me, because we're sitting there.
They won't give us chairs. Head out to that. We're going to have a good time. It's going to be super Halloweeny. We're going to Halloween it up for you guys.
Yeah, pumpkins,
we forgot to ask about fog machines, but remind me to ask about fog machines, somebody, please.
There's going to be, cats running everywhere. If you're allergic, get used to it. Aside from that, we also have a Patreon set up now.
That's right. We don't have anything nice to give away yet, so just if you feel like throwing us a couple balloons just to keep operations running, fully armed and operational, we greatly appreciate that.
We have so many innocent planets to destroy with this podcast.
Alderaan, Dantooine,
Jakku, Mustafar, everyone's favorite planet in Star Wars, Mustafar. We're still kind of figuring out Patreon, but give money if you want to, whatever you want to give. It helps us improve our equipment, pay the monthly dues for this. We're trying to get a website going up, so that would be good to pay for that. And then we're going to set up stuff that will entice you to give us more of your money. How about a knife on your throat? How about for $10 $10 a month, we don't come to your house in the middle of the night and slash your neck.
How about we have your favorite child, okay? And we're just keeping them entertained. And if you want to know where they are, give us some money.
$100 a month.
Is that fair?
For the price of a cup of coffee once a month, you can have your children back.
For the price of a coffee shop, I don't know, you can have your children back.
For the price of rent of an expensive steakhouse in Beverly Hills, I don't know, you can listen to our podcast. That'll be patreon.com/LA Meekly. We're still kind of figuring that out exactly, so bear with us. And, bear market, money.
So do what you always do when you listen to this episode, just be patient.
As you've been putting up with for 4 years, just a little bit more time, please.
A little more patience, please.
All we ask.
A little bit more tolerance, please. I'm so sorry that we're like this.
Also, leave us reviews on iTunes. If money is too much money, stars are always free on iTunes. Go in your podcast app, leave us 5-star, just stars or a review. We've got a few more. That's nice.
Yeah, we always like to read all the fun sentences you guys write about us.
I like this, period.
Beautiful. Poetry. Whoever did that, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Just waiting for that second sentence to roll through.
Leave it in another review. Open up a second iTunes account. I don't care.
I don't care what
you want your kids back, don't you? This is what it's come to. 4 years in, if we don't get enough love, we start taking people's kids. We told you that from episode 1, and now it's happening. Other than that, follow us on Twitter at LA Meekly.
Instagram, LA_Meekly. We post every day.
Like us on Facebook.
Yeah, search LA Meekly for that.
LAMeekly.tumblr.com. That's our main hub.
For everything. We have an episode archive. We have pictures that go up all the time.
Send us an email at la.meekly@gmail.com if you want to be the next Clare Graham and Jane Tobias.
Yeah.
Briefly in this.
Yes.
If you work at or know someone who works at an interesting or historic place in this city, hey, ring-a-ding-ding. My phone makes that noise when an email comes in.
Ring-a-ding-ding, boys.
Ring-a-ding-ding. Let's all go to the lobby.
And have ourselves an email, a long email.
Have ourselves a panic attack because we have to do work now. Yeah, so that's that. We hope you enjoy this episode. We really liked it. Enjoy it. Bye.
We love you. Oh, no, I said it. Oh, no.
Oh, it's too soon. I'll start it off. So who are you and how long have you lived in LA?
My name is Clare Graham. I'm actually Canadian, so I'm a green card immigrant.
Oh.
So a lot of issues pertain to that in this neighborhood at the current time. But I think I'm 68. I was born in 1949.
Okay, whatever math that is, yeah.
So, yes.
We'll edit the math in. Afterwards.
I'm towards the end of the arc. So I worked at Disney for 25 years at a theme park you may have heard of it, down in Anaheim.
That's Orange County.
That's very fun.
Tell us what you did there.
I was called the senior managing art director. So we did fulfillment for marketing and entertainment events like Super Bowl halftime shows, parades, stage sets, park decor, anything that needed visual sort of brand management for Disney that went to outside customers, like parades in Indianapolis and city celebrations that the characters had to go to and needed to be seen in the right way with the right things around them.
Like the representation for the fictional characters?
Actually, I started there in 1966 when Walt Disney was still alive.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And my first job was putting on one of those heavy, fuzzy costumes and dancing around the park.
Which character?
Bringing joy to millions of people. I was in my height range at 6 feet then. I've shrunk a bit since then. But I was Big Bad Wolf, Brer Bear, Goofy, the Three Pigs, which you actually end up looking out of their hats rather than where their eyes are.
Okay.
Foulfellow the Fox, Gideon from Pinocchio.
Oh, yeah, right.
There's a whole range of things within your height range that you never really know, so you get to climb into somebody else's sweaty costume the next day.
That's a good catalog.
It was a great job.
Yeah,
amazing.
Really fun. And tell us where we are right now.
We are at a place called MorYork, which is my gallery space that we bought in 1986 as a 7,000 square foot abandoned building. Did some renovations to it, and it's really sort of just my studio space and gallery and hangout spot now.
And you were saying this building used to be, it was a supermarket and a...
Built in 1933, and it started its life as a Safeway supermarket. At that time, the whole front of the building was open and vegetable carts moved out onto the sidewalk so you could do drive-by shopping for rutabagas and
favorite
tomatoes
kind of drive-by.
all that. There used to be a red car line that stopped in front of the building didn't go any further west down York Boulevard, but then returned. So the track was from downtown LA to here at MorYork. And the building was Safeway Supermarket for about the first decade and a half. Then it was Skateland, big metal letters out on front. After Skateland, which was about 8 years, it became Raceland. They just took the SKT down and put an R and a C in, and became Raceland. We still have a couple of the letters that are big neon box letters. And then it became J.J. Jewelcraft for the last 25 years of its life. And we bought it in '86 after it had been empty for about 3 years. Since then, we've just filled it with our collections of artifacts, things gleaned from thrift stores, garage sales, flea markets.
Are these the same wood floors from when it was Skateland?
Yes. Yes. And most people think these are basketball keys, but they're actually the directional things that you had to skate around clockwise the first hour, counterclockwise the second hour, so God forbid you didn't get disproportionate thigh muscles going around a corner because you force it onto one leg.
I think I interrupted a question. How long have you lived in L.A.?
Lived in L.A. My parents, my father had a big dredge at a huge iron mine in Canada, brought it down here to Long Beach Harbor to dredge the site for the ill-fated Long Beach 1964 World's Fair. Built Pier J and then built all the oil islands that sit in the ocean off of Long Beach. Decided that this was a better place to, I'm one of 5 children, so the educational opportunities, the cultural opportunities, much better here than, we were from a town in Canada called Atikokan, which was a population of 1,200 people. Very small. Yeah. Everybody worked for the iron mine and nothing else. And in the wintertime, about half the population would flee to more hospitable climes. So it was a place not to raise 5 kids if you wanted them to do it something other than you had done in your life.
Where is that in Canada? What part of Canada is that?
If you know Lake Superior, there's a little lake way above it, a dot. Lake Superior looks like a wolf's head. There's a dot above it called Lake Nipigon. And in the forest, about 500 miles away from both of those points, little tiny, Atikokan in Ojibwa means dried pile of caribou bones.
All of this sounds like a really scary fairy tale.
One day that'll pop out.
Going to the next question, what exactly do you do here other than
I practice. So I have a set of skills. I have a BA, a BFA, an MA, and an MFA in crafts. When I was in school, crafts was sort of a legitimate counterpoint to art. Art was eggy. Crafts was practical. Crafts was producing furniture and ceramics and glass blowing and all of the practical skills. And I stayed in school longer than anybody actually ever should for probably 15 years. And so I got all those degrees. The cheapest studio space you'll ever find is if you're in a nurturing school environment. So I had my own private studio space in school and access to, a peer group that had pretty incredible skills. So got the job concurrently at Disney at the same time while I was in school, and used to sort of shill people with good skill levels to come work at the park in various departments, etc. So
you were saying, what was the phrase you used that you made of the things that are not compilations, but
accumulations of objects? The weekend habit is to go to flea markets and swap meets and garage sales and estate sales and find out what the secondary market is churning through and depositing on the footsteps of creative people. So I find amounts of things like the dog tags. I probably have about 10,000 dog tags. So when you get a quantity of anything, you can sort of conjure how to make something out of that. So things like Scrabble tiles and pop tops off of soft drink and beer cans, anagrams,
dominoes,
human molars, anything in quantities large enough becomes art fodder. Molars were sourced from a company in India called B for Bones. And what they do is they burn bodies on the ghats along the Ganges, and then they sift the ashes, and they have teeth which aren't consumed by the fires. Basically, in a pyre, it's not hot enough to really destroy the teeth. They sell them to dental schools for drilling and filling exercises. So I got into the sort of that chain, sort of made excuses about what I was using them for, because it's actually illegal in the U.S. to buy, sell, or trade human remains, and teeth are human remains. So what they do to get them through customs is, here we're blabbing all sorts of international secrets, but they disguise them as art. They use wax, and they glue them down to a substrate of plywood or cheap wood, and they put ricky-ticky-daisy stickers on things and gild it up so it looks like flowers and these arrangements and stuff.
So creepy.
And you get this funny note that says, when you receive your art, boil it. So what you do is you break it up and put it in boiling water, and the teeth, because they're heavier, fall to the bottom and the wax floats to the top.
Wow.
And so you've got these clean human molars that are regularly used to train dental students. So they're drilling on real teeth so they know what they're doing. So I got 1,200 of them that are all on that cabinet there.
The FBI doesn't listen to us, so I think your secret's
so far.
Yeah. Do you want to give away your secret for the better flea markets in town?
We're blessed in California because of the weather that every single weekend of the month is a different one. So the circuit goes, first Sunday of the month is PCC, Pasadena City College, which is an incredible flea-free sort of array. People show up that literally are just cleaning out the garage and have stuff that is absolutely unique. Then there's the hardened ones that have a certain kind of thing they're known for, like tribal art or ethnographic art or shabby chic or various things. But that's probably, I would guess, about 500 plus dealers. Great one, and it's free, and it's very casual. Incredible things I found there. Second Sunday of the month, Rose Bowl Flea Market, which is the granddaddy of all. I actually went to the first one in, I think it was 1972, and have pretty religiously done every second Sunday at the Rose Bowl. That's now, they say 2,500 dealers.
I've heard that, yeah.
Which is
crazy.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of them are closed in the secondary lot, but once in a while there'll be a stray over there too, so you have to check everything. A third Sunday is Long Beach Vet Stadium, which is a rival to Rose Bowl. Fourth Sunday, there's a great Torrance Street Fair. Then there's a randomly occurring Ventura one, and then there's a regularly occurring one in San Diego. So, you know, depending on how far you want to drive on a Sunday morning, you can hit every weekend.
Okay. Yeah. When I was a kid growing up, my dad went to a lot of flea markets, but they were all, because he was a mechanic, they were all auto flea markets.
Yeah.
So when I got older, I realized, like, oh, there's like regular flea markets where they sell regular stuff. And then, like, flea market doesn't mean car stuff.
Yeah, but like the Santa Fe Drive-In, which is on the 5 freeway down in Orange County, that has a regularly occurring one, but it's a lot of food, it's animals.
Yeah.
But once in a while, there'll be somebody there. So, you know, it's just
good to check out.
Serendipity, what you find. And you can never rely on finding the same thing again. So it kind of makes it a unique hunting exercise. But as a craftsperson, part of the process is the hunting and gathering it takes to find your material.
You keep using the term craftsperson. Do you refer to yourself as more craftsperson?
Yeah,
or
absolutely. I think there is a very specific difference between being an artist, where you're driven by a concept, an idea. You want to communicate something. Crafts tends to be a little more neutral in its goals. It usually produces a functional object, a bowl, a plate, and a lot of craft can be very artful, but a lot of art, when it relies on craft, tends to be a little sloppy. You get a lot of artists who are using crafts processes now and doing things that will never survive, like 10,000 rolls of paper with a little piece of Scotch tape put on straight pins into the gallery wall. Incredibly beautiful piece. How do you put it away and store it? How does a museum conserve it? How do you protect it from falling apart when that Scotch tape decides to let go and you've got the floor littered with things? So art has some deficiencies in understanding process. Craft tends to be very heavy in process and loses some of the artfulness that is required in an object that anybody else is going to want. But I consider myself a craftsman. I don't have an axe to grind or a communication nugget that I'm trying to foist out into the world.
The Scrabble cabinet right behind you, I'm guessing that's a functioning cabinet.
All of the cabinets, and then they have curated collections in them. And that is sort of driving a suggestion to anybody who looks at it and starts to understand that all of these things are sort of a cabinet of curiosities about my own life, that it's telling a story, it's history, it's objects that have a tangible draw for me, and I'm kind of putting them there to see if somebody else can put the story together.
All right, let's move on to the next question. Number 4. Sorry, sorry. I looked at a skull and I blanked out.
Literally blew Greg's mind.
What is this place's role in the city? Would you say?
Well, our mission statement when we first opened our doors, we bought it in '86, and then we sort of over 5-7 years, we kind of organized it, made it usable, permeable by the other people, and we started to feel that the neighborhood was entering into one of those phases where there were problems with, when we first got here in '86, there were probably 25 artist studios in these next 3 blocks.
Yeah.
Good, cheap, raw space. And since then, everybody has basically disappeared. Everything has become restaurants, retail, monetized in a way that artists can no longer afford the square footage and studio space. So while we once had a thriving artist community, that wave disappeared and were replaced by people that said, wait, a lot of people are going to that neighborhood, so if we open a little restaurant or a coffee shop, we can make some money off of this. And so we've gentrified several waves now. No more art studios. There used to be a couple of very good art galleries. Christy Engel, who was downtown and moved to this neighborhood because of the energy she felt that was building here. And while we show an artful environment, we don't really show art anymore here when we open our doors. So, but our mission statement was to be one of those permeable assets in this neighborhood that could unify people, give them a place to come, a common forum, so that we could meet our neighbors, so they could meet us, so they could desensitize that whole issue of, what's happening in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
We've been here for 30 plus years, so I think we're the old guard now.
Yeah,
We've been here as long as most of the people who own houses. The neighborhood has changed a great deal. It's become more expensive, which is one of the drawbacks of gentrification. However, the people who owned houses here have benefited from that as they move on. Right now, we literally have like stroller traffic jams on the weekends with young families who could afford to live in these houses, and their kids going to Cafe de Leche, the shops along the street, and using the neighborhood. And it has a kind of unique identification. At one time, Forbes magazine gave the neighborhood like the #1 nucleating neighborhood ranking in the nation.
Wow.
That things were happening here and fast. And there have been a bunch of NPR stories about this neighborhood and how it has changed over the years.
Have we stated yet that we are on York Boulevard in Highland Park?
We're at the corner of York and Avenue 50 in Highland Park.
That is
and MorYork, the name, is that person's responsibility. And we're looking at Jane Tobias, who at the time was probably 5 years old. And she and her brother, who was a year older, were posed the question of, what should we call this place? And because their father was very expansive in their education as they were growing up, had taken them on a trip to New York to expose them to the big city. Yeah. They kind of looked around and said, MorYork. And Jane, how do you spell that?
Spell it MorYork.
Yes.
Capital M, capital Y.
Yes. And that's what they said, and that's what we did, and it's been called that ever since.
What would you say is the most important thing that you have in here?
The most important thing?
Yeah.
To find what you're trying to
that's
get
not my job.
Is there something in here that means the most to you?
Do you have children, either of you?
No.
How could you ever say Jane or Henry was the most important to you?
Easy.
You can't. If a fire started, I would probably run for a little wire dog that's at the back there that's just an innocent piece of art that somebody else produced. It's just a little insignificant artifact, but because I've had it with me for so many years, it means a great deal. And I see it every day when I go by the cabinet it's sitting in. And so God only knows.
Yeah, I think you're the first person we've asked that question to who has picked something personal to them specifically. That's the most important thing.
But if you want to start bragging, there are things in here that are worth an incredible amount of money.
Please.
But there are things that are worth nothing. And to me, there's no aesthetic difference between the two. So, they just sit here and everything is inert. The things that have the most memories tend to have the bigger grasp upon one's intellect and one's heart.
I want to see this dog before I go.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to start a fire and see if you're telling the truth.
Yeah, you just confessed. You did the graffiti this morning.
They're going to find my molars.
That's what you have to give up.
Along the same line as that, do you have a favorite thing here?
Favorite would probably tend to move chronologically into the thing I acquired most recently. Okay. That doesn't denigrate anything lower on the list, but it's just the most recent. It's the most active in trying to figure out the who, what, when, where, why of what that object is. So over on a cabinet over there, I have a carved Maori house post figure that is my current favorite. I like to look at it. So several times a day, I'll just think, wait, I haven't seen it in a couple hours. So I trot over there and look at it, and I'm still figuring it out, still trying to do research and, tie it down specifically to where it was, what it was doing, who it is, etc.
Is that part of your process? Is like learning the I think you said when we were walking around, like the source of it, and then trying to just kind of break it down.
Yeah, what you see in all these big glass cases that have thousands of objects in them, and all the low counter glass top things too, is a mnemonic device that allows me to rekindle that aesthetic epiphany when I first see an object. Typically, walking down a flea market aisle, you'll see something that you don't understand, you don't know, you don't recognize. It's a bit of a mystery, and you buy it, and usually it's insignificant. It's $1, it's 50 cents, it's $10, whatever it is. And so then you try to put its life history together, where it was, what it was doing, where it belongs. And in our culture, some amazing things fall out of their proper place, like secondhand art. Once the kids divest themselves of mom and dad's lifetime collection of things, so many things they don't know or understand or appreciate, and put out on a blanket for 20 cents, and it's something that's important. It's something that's either signed by an artist or it took incredible skill to fabricate. So I tend to be attracted to those kinds of things. And were we to go and pick out any individual objects there, I could tell you, what flea market I got it at, how much I paid for it, what I know about it at this point in time, and then I tend to arrange things so that there are compatible groups of things that have a conversation going, kind of try to curate in a certain way.
Okay, that makes sense.
Before we start getting away from specific things, could you talk about that mirror again that you were telling us about?
What sits over there is a giant 60-inch convex lens that was produced by Bausch and Lomb as actually something for the Vietnam War, that the U.S. Army was having trouble with night flights, bombing runs by the enemy. So they had 3 of these parabolic curved lenses in the backs of Army vehicles that they would triangulate out in the jungle. They would collect raw data, because a parabolic curved surface collects both sound and light reflections. Early computer programming, they were able to do an engineering exercise, establish points along the route that these planes were taking, guesstimate where the origin for these flights were on airfields, indiscriminate missiles sent in to where they had plotted these things, blew up hundreds of miles worth of jungle, but within 6 months they had ceased night flights by the enemy on bombing on their bases. And so they ended up as Army surplus at a salvage yard out in Redlands, California. I got 3 of them and then made one with a base and everything, so it looked like this Jules Verne-esque gizmo, the death ray that can burn the sails of the floating boats in Atlantis. Then used that money from selling the first one to provide the bases for the other 2. One lives in Seattle at a friend Galen Lowe's, and then this one is here with me. This is Omega. He's got Alpha, I've got Omega.
It seems like you're trying to triangulate the entire United States. I'm telling the FBI again about this.
If we only knew where that third one was now,
I feel like I've seen a lot of James Bond movies just like this.
Gotta find a third one.
It's weird because when you stand in front of it, it does something to your voice.
Like the Capitol Dome, if you stand on one side and whisper, the sound waves will actually bend, and somebody over on the other side of the space can actually hear that, and it's like, who's in my ear? But that does it. It bends sound waves, and then you can see what it does to the vision. It distorts everything.
I had to stand next to it just so I can kill the magic of it, because it was like it was confusing me so much that I was like a dog, like what's all this happening in front of me? Like I needed to see the back of it.
That's sort of set at the end of that too, so it draws people in there, and most people, wait, what's going on there?
What's going on, yeah.
What in hell?
What's going to draw me away from all the other stuff? It's myself, yeah.
So what would you say LA would be like without this place? Or LA, or even just this street?
Or places like this, yeah.
Well, LA has incredible pockets of interest like this is, and we're sort of off the radar. We don't have a sign outside. We're not regularly open. It's really just a private space that is accessible if you follow the code, if you do certain things, if you follow your nose. And we're on a lot of internet stuff now. We're listed, but you still don't know how to find us until you do a little detective work, which I sort of enjoy that story of how people actually end up here and how many dots they had to connect before they did it. So, but there are many, many places like that around. Like the trend right now, if you've been to 14th Factory, get yourself down there.
Is that the place?
It's a big derelict building downtown that a group of artists have taken over, and they've developed sort of discrete environments within this space. And the famous one you've probably seen if you're on Instagram at all is the pitchforks hanging upside down as a whole ceiling environment. There's sort of a big white, what's the name of the movie? But a big white environment that looks like 2001. Okay. But so there are these environments that you put yourself in and try to figure out what the whole story is. We were just in Santa Fe, and there's one there called Meow Wolf that they've done a similar thing, taken over this huge complex of buildings, like an old bowling alley and skating rink and stuff, and have done this very complex story that you really have to kind of put clues together to get the most out of it. And they've got this very intricately plotted thing that, and you actually like have to open the refrigerator and climb through it to get to part of this sequence of rooms and stuff. A dryer in the back of a closet, you have to push the clothes aside to get to, but you don't know any of this when you go there, and you kind of have to,
prowl.
It's very, very crowded, so you typically, wait, where'd that person disappear to? Wait. So, but it's one of those. So there are places like that that are LA-centric, that there are gardens that are kind of secret gardens that are tricked out with incredible things that if you're perspicacious and a little bit brave, you can sort these things out in our environment. And that's what we're just one of those assets of the city that we had no specific intention, nor do we now. But I think most people who do come in sense that there's something going on.
What I liked about being in here, if you've read the I Spy books from when I was a kid, they had this look to it where it was all these things going on. You had to find things in them, and that's what this kind of reminds me of, and I really like
immersive experience of being in I Spy.
And all of these things are a prompt for storytelling, to put a sequence of words together that explains the who, what, when, where, and why of objects, of people, and what your relationship to it is. And I enjoy people who walk around and ask questions and try to put their own story together and how they relate to all of this. So
is that the wave of the future of rather than just like things on a wall?
No, the wave of the future is virtual reality. All these tangible things are disappearing totally. Museums in the future will be dead relic. They'll be abandoned. Young people today with access on a cell phone to the world's cultural existence. And a lot of people no longer feel the need to go see the real thing. They've captured it. They've got it. So
there's some stuff that I see on the internet that I like. There are things that you follow enough things on Instagram where like I have to go to like the poppy fields. Like there are things that like have to be visited that you can't just like you want to immerse yourself in it. But I know what you mean. Where seeing a picture of a view from behind the Hollywood sign is good enough for some people to be like, well, I don't need to go behind there now.
Right.
Did you go to the poppy fields?
No, I didn't. I don't have the gas money. What's the strangest thing that's happened here?
Strangest is probably not a word I would use, but the most awesome thing that happened is there was a guy named Miles who I collect Japanese temple bells, which are these big copper raised bowls that you strike instead of rubbing a wet finger on the rim to create a vibration. You strike it, and depending on the size, the thickness, they dissipate a sound over different lengths of time. He had about, I think it was 17 basically drummers, people who knew beat, sit on the floor. We carpeted the entire floor. They sat on the floor with these bells, and he had written a piece that gave everybody a part in this sequence of things. And the best part was, after about 40 minutes of a choreographed musical composition, he was striking the big one, let it go, and nobody moved, nobody talked. There was no sound for about 3.5 minutes. So the sustaining note dissipates out and it disappears, but then everybody was afraid to break that spell. So that probably minute, that last minute of that 3.5 minute dissipation at the end of the piece, where everybody was caught in this mood, is one of those things that still gives me kind of those shivers when I talk about it, because it was magical. It was something that the environment and the sound he produced, and it just created this thing that is other than a tangible object. So it was incredibly powerful. And
that sounds really moving to be in the middle of that. That sounds really great.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of performance sort of things like that?
We've kind of shifted because the space, I kind of glommed onto the excess exhibit space for my own stuff, that we do a whole sequence of live music stuff, CalArts music program, and people doing dissertations and performance and stuff. We've had a dance group. We've had a guy named Ken Rote, who's a serious LA theater director, 99-cent shows and stuff at the Bootleg Theater.
Okay.
He produced Miss Julie here, which is a Strindberg play, rewritten and adapted. So we've done live theater, we've done spoken word, we've done music, we've done all of those, using the space in a way that can augment something. If somebody has the right project to place, we are just free to use.
How do you move all of this stuff?
What we're sitting in right now is temporary. This is staging furniture that's going out to a house that my partner Bob is doing. High-end real estate in LA, you need to stage to create a mythical story about the people with taste and substance and good art live here, and you could live here too. So he does that for a living. And so all this stuff will be gone tomorrow morning and go live in houses. So we can fit 60 to 75 people with a 4 or 5 piece musical group. The dance company typically likes to move people around. So they perform in the center and they're free to push banks of people back. So it's interactive. It's Stephanie Zelatel and a group called SALT.
The next question, what's this place's best kept secret?
Best kept secret. I would say that there are endless secrets embodied in each one of these objects, and some people figure them out. Some people never do or never will. I have clues about a lot of things that I can start a process, but everybody else comes to this with a different set of sort of brain files and lots of stories to tell here.
I like the idea of being challenged to make your thing of this, find this sort of stuff when you come in here.
Yeah, I do too.
When's the best time to come here? Do you open up the space? Is there appointment only?
It's appointment whenever. Typically I'm here most days of the week, except for Saturday and Sunday mornings when I'm off sourcing things at flea markets and garage sales. But I typically am here very early in the morning, 4, working away, and typically by 4 in the afternoon I'm pretty much done with this and go on to other things. But if the door is open, you're always welcome to knock, to come in and perambulate the space.
Where should you park when you come here?
Parking is becoming a bigger problem, but we're blessed with about a 60-foot long strip right in front of the building that is free all day. So if you can snag a space there, that's ideal. We have a driveway in the back of the building that typically I'm pretty far down the driveway, so you can always park in front of that. Streets behind us, Marmion and Stratford and Avenue 50, are no meters. It's typically 2-hour parking. And then there's 75 space place at Avenue 51 in York, and then behind the True Value hardware store there's another 50 spaces there, so there is parking.
What's the best place to eat here, or your favorite?
There are many spaces along the street. One is called Azteca Huarache. Do you know what a huarache is?
No.
You know what the shoe is. They used to be made out of tire treads, sandals.
I've seen those. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, now they're leather and all tricked out. Yeah. But they have a corn masa boat, so it's like an open-faced taco almost. And they can put like calabacitas or huitlacoche, which is corn must, various things on the top as well as all of your meaty bits. But there's also the York, which is very good environmental beer pub food, great truffle grilled cheese sandwich. Ooh. Highland Park Cafe, which is sort of a quirky breakfast lunch menu, not open for dinner. Cafe de Leche, Fabulous coffee, great couple running it. They've started grinding their own beans, sourced from growers they know in Guatemala. So it's incredible. There's still some of those sort of one-off places in this neighborhood and not the brands, which is, I think, letting this become one of those nucleating neighborhoods that it's still you don't find this on Abbot Kinney, you don't find this on other parts of the town that are overexploited with brand names.
We have to stop recording these before we eat lunch because this makes me want to faint whenever we ask people about the food.
You should try Huarache Azteca.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Fabulous food, and it's relatively inexpensive.
Down the street?
Down the street. This side of the street, past Avenue 52.
Okay.
Yeah, walkable if you're already parked.
Yeah. Well, those are all the. That's all of our questions.
Oh, and there's also the bowling alley. Sorry, in the middle of this next block between 50 and 51, this side of the street, there's a bowling alley that has a walk-up window that has incredible burgers and various things.
I think I passed it.
And bagels.
Okay, I think I passed it.
Yeah, it's really great. And then Silver Lake Ramen is actually here now too. Just a few storefronts.
You're killing
me.
So hungry. Thank you so much.
They're all very good.
I want ramen and bagels right now.
Well, that's it for the interview. Thank you very much for sitting down and talking to us.
That's all?
Yeah.
That's all we have. He threw the microphone at us. All right. Thank you.
Bye.